So you got your own crowd, Luke.
Oh. Go ahead, Tim. Usually start it off, don't you?
Hey, seriously, you put your first team defense out there today. Is that like a working group, or is that? Explain kind of how you come up with that, this early in the camp.
All the guys that have earned it so far. I mean, again, nothing's set in stone. I mean, there's very few guys out there, that are set in stone. So, but those guys, they're taking charge of it, and we'll continue. They really haven't started much of football yet.
Right.
I mean, the shoulder pad just went on today, so a lot of stuff will show here in the next 5-6 days.
What is if you had to put your finger on one key battle on that defensive side? Urban Meyer said the other day that left guard is the big question on offense. If they get that settled, what is that one spot that you definitely has to get settled here in the next 3 weeks?
I don't know that there's one, but you could say that one of the corners. Some young guys are really going to have to step up. I mean, there's plenty of battles, and there's a lot of guys on that defensive front that are battling to get themselves maybe not just a starting spot, but a lot of time. So there's some depth and some rotation there. And then there's some battles, at Sam Backer and Mike Backer. There's battles all over the place, but, I think the ones that probably are most noticeable are that field side corner is going to be a good battle because there's some competition there.
Are you pretty comfortable with, Perry, Grant, and Darren Lee to kind of start off with? I mean, do you like that?
We got a really good group. I mean, we got guys who are battling for each other. There's guys who are going to be able to roll. I mean, you can't count out Chris Worley. Raekwon McMillan's done a great job too. Those are the guys we go with right now. Those are the guys who'll be out there. But I promise you, they're pulling for those guys behind them too, and we're going to have some depth that we haven't had in the last few years.
It looks like there's some young guys, Raekwon and Dante Booker and Eric Smith, who are working in with the twos a little bit, whatever. What do guys as true freshmen have to show to get a chance to get reps like that?
They got to show the innate ability to go 4 to 6, A to B. We can teach them plenty of things, and we can limit down to what they can do. But if they'll show us that they can go from point A to point B as hard as they possibly can, and they don't let their minds slow themselves down, we got something to work with.
There have been some other people, Urban among them, who have said good things about the linebackers so far. Where we know that maybe the linebacker play hasn't always been where you wanted it to be the last couple of years. Where do you feel like it is? I know it's early.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say that. I mean, obviously with the standards that have been set, I mean, the play. I mean, you got a guy that finished, goes 15th in the draft. The depth has been the thing that has killed us the most, and the consistency. So I think the one thing that you're going to see from this group is, I'm not saying that they're going to be the best in the nation right now when they walk on the field on Saturday, but I can assure you that there's not a tighter knit group. A bunch of guys are battling for each other, and I'm talking about 10, 11, 12 of those guys that have been through a lot, have been kind of had some tough times, and have really come a long way, and really excited to see them play.
Luke, you're not going to have Noah Spence for the first 2 games. Who's working there? Steve Miller. If you had to put a lineup on the field right now, would Steve Miller be the starter there? Or?
That's kind of one of those things you're talking about. Well, where's the big battles? There's plenty of them, and that's one of them. I mean, Steve Miller, Rashad Frazier. There's a bunch of different guys that are going to battle to do that spot and to play there. And obviously, Steve Miller being a senior has done everything we've ever asked him to do. Rashad Frazier is going to be a senior as well, and. It's not only it's bad. Obviously, it's a travesty that Noah's going to miss. But the reality is, it gives some other guys some light. It's going to make us and force us to create some depth and get some guys some real good roles.
You guys have put an emphasis. We talked about this last month on getting the pass defense shored up and stuff. Yet you open with Navy. I mean,
hopefully that helps the pass defense if you really look at it.
Yeah.
If they throw the ball 4 times, I mean, if you're looking at just numbers, there's difference there. But
there's assignment football. It's like,
again, you can say whatever you want. I mean, yes, there's glaring things that obviously that's been talked about with the pass defense, but we can't just focus that the pass defense is only on them 4 guys in the back end. That pass defense has a lot to do with the guys underneath those linebackers, and has really a lot more to do with pass rush than sometimes people talk. And I think all together, with everything tied together, there's a lot of things that are going to be really shored up.
Luke, you've had lots of experience here losing great linebackers and having to replace them the next year. But Ryan, as you mentioned, 15th pick in the draft, exceptional speed as a linebacker. He made so many plays. How can you really make up for that because he just seemed like a unique guy?
Well, the real loss is going to be, like you said, when you start off with just production. But sometimes you get addition by subtraction. We lose a great one, and we lose a guy that obviously, I don't know if you can replace the production that which he had, but I tell you, in turn, we've got a group that has really come together. And sometimes I say it's addition by subtraction. We lost something big, and a lot of guys, there's 5, 6, 7 guys that a light really came on, and they saw some ability for themselves to step up and do some things. And you know, it's going to be a much more of a committee type of thing than some guy that maybe at the end of the season has breaks our production record like that Ryan Shazier probably did in the last 2 years. But there's a lot of exciting things to be said about those guys, and you know, again, we got a ways to go, but I promise that that group's going to be as strong as we've had in a while.
How does Curtis look coming back as a senior? Had some injury problems last year. What have you seen from him in his final camp like this?
I think the one thing you can say about Curtis Grant is his confidence level has really gone up. And that's probably the biggest thing. Curtis has always got the ability. I know that, you know, there's some things that we've seen and guys could say this and that about him, but the reality is when a guy's not in a good place in his mind, it's really tough. And you know, not to give Curtis an excuse or anything, but he's had a lot of tough things that have happened, and things haven't quite gone his way since the day he walked in here. But I tell you what, he's a different kid. I shouldn't say kid, he's a different man. He's battled through a lot of things. He's got a lot of confidence in what he's doing. I tell you, he's the passion and energy of that defense right now.
How about Josh Perry? What did he show you maybe toward the last half of the season? Looked like he was really coming on just as the season ended for you guys.
Josh has grown a lot, and I'm not just meaning by size and his weight up to 250-some pounds. The weight room and what Coach Mick and those guys have done for him in there has helped him grow immensely, and it shows on the field. And it's just those little things that, again, the confidence level of a kid like that and his ability to continue to play and battle through some things. There's a lot of things that Josh has gone through, and you're going to see it. You see the confidence level, his leadership ability. There's a lot of things that are really excite not just me, but a lot of the guys that are around him that see it.
And Darren covered this. Just what do you see in the commitment of the defense to just be better? Just the fire that they're showing in the first few days.
Well, I've always told them from the day I've been here, it's a lot harder to handle praise than it is criticism. And I tell you what, not that they were, but they've been kicked a little bit. And you know what? There's no harder critic than ourselves. And they felt bad, you know, in the way we played the last 3 games. And to be honest with you, it's shown throughout the entire. It's not just the first 2 days of camp. Anybody can do it, but what they've done and they've shown throughout the weight room in the winter, in the spring, it's the guys that they've got a chip on their shoulder and they got a mission.
You may have covered this. Are you locked in on 11 people? I mean, do you have a first?
No, we don't want to get locked in on 11. I think that's probably one of the things that happens to us, and we didn't do a great job of in the past. Was being locked in sometimes at 11, and sometimes even more so to the 4 guys up front. You know, Coach Johnson has been adamant about it, and you know, he's been doing it for a long time, and he's unbelievable at what he does. And he's adamant that, hey, we got to have 9 guys, and he does, and he will. And and I know there will be a starting 4, but you know, we like to refer to them as 1A and 1B. And the closer we can bring those 1Bs to those 1As, the better we'll be.
Did you talk about